Hi, welcome to the Andrew Buckle book review of Superhero Women by Stan Lee. This is featuring the fabulous females of Marvel Comics. This came out in 1977. Book includes 250 pages and a variety of stories. Medusa, Shanna She-Devil, Black Widow and a few others. So let's just go through the book. This is part of a series. This was part of a series of Fireside books. And this was $6.95, I believe. Yes, $6.95. I paid about £5 for it. You'd be able to pick up copies at Comic Marts, etc. Really nice quality. It's a lovely book from that time. Matte as well. It's not shiny or anything, so you've really got the near enough similar to the original stories, which is good. Now you've got a little introduction for each by Stan Lee. And then you've got Medusa is the first one. With bit surprised by this appearance. I thought it would have been better if they'd gone with the first appearance, which was in Fantastic Four. I think it was issue 36, and that was with the Frightful Four, which I think was one of my favourites. I really loved those Frightful Four stories, so it would have been nice. But instead, they went for a Spidey story. Absolutely nothing wrong with that, of course. Make way for Medusa. And this one you got here, what's it say? The Glamazon. Yes. The action, of course, there she is. Medusa glides into town, and of course someone decides, oh wow, we could use her for our advertising campaign. That's a real quick snap decision, isn't it? I mean, just obviously because of the hair, they're thinking, wow, that's going to be great. But of course, lots of problems. Spidey's involved, Jonah Jameson and everyone else. Norman Osborn also turns up in this as well. Of course, he really I'm leaving. Of course, he punches him just there or pushes him aside. I'm surprised that with his superpowered strength, he didn't sort of push him through the wall virtually. But there, you of course, got the usual thing when various superheroes meet. They always have to have a quick battle just to prove who is the strongest of all. And of course, Spidey there's battling away with Medusa. And of course, everything's resolved in the end, thankfully. On to Red Sonja, or Sonja, depending how you want to say her name. She-Devil with a sword, and these are brilliant stories. I really love these. I really love this one as well. I would love to see a super proper omnibus collection. There is an omnibus, but it's from Dynamite. Sadly, was not a favourite of mine. Probably one of my least favourite omnibuses. So I'd love to see a really cleaned up one that looks like this quality. Will be brilliant with black and white, all the stories as well. Again, another introduction, but this one, Frank Thorne, brilliant artwork all the way through it. Just great stories. I love the Conan stories. I love King Cole, Solomon Kane, and Red Sonja, whatever you want to call her. Everyone always criticised me for saying her name completely wrong. And there's the Gorgon, of course. And of course, that's it. That's her end of her career. She's turned into stone. There's no more stories. Of course not. There's a twist in the story. Luckily, otherwise the series would have finished. Was probably Marvel feature, I think, Marvel feature, or it was in her own series after that. I love those ones. I've got all the issues anyway. Great. This one is the Invisible Girl, the next one. Let's just quickly turn to there. And it's the return of the Mole Man. Now, the Mole Man was in the first issue. Now, I don't think there were any other issues in between. Or maybe there was. Maybe, oh yes, probably the Doctor Strange one. But this one, Return of the Mole Man. Oh, the first foe, the FF. And I have to put that just to remind everyone. And I thought maybe I'm thinking of another story. However, this one, you got her testing her powers for the first time, really pushing the powers. You can obviously do this, create various super thicker and thicker, and she can obviously the Thing can't even get through now. Obviously, even the Torch can't get through. And of course, her powers developed more and more. So this was really a big issue for Sue Storm's powers, where suddenly you can find that she can do quite a lot of other things with her powers. She can turn other people invisible. Now, I don't know if she ever did that again. Maybe she did. Maybe everyone forgets these sort of powers. Sometimes a lot of these early issues, they added powers, and then 5 minutes later, they always seem to then forget that they had the powers, which is a pity. But still, you can see there, could have been quite useful having the Thing always invisible occasionally, you know, when you're battling your various super villains. It would have been so much better, wouldn't it? But of course, she uses the powers to jump up. She can obviously protect them against that radioactive material that he was using. And of course, he can't get to his control. He's just going to do something, and he can't do it because of, obviously, Sue. But also, another thing for Sue Storm, which I don't think she's used those powers ever since as well. This one where she can find things that are invisible. That's a really useful tool, isn't it? Just so she can scan a room and suddenly make that appear. But also, on to the next story. We've got Miss Marvel. Now, this must have come about near enough about the same time. So 1976, 1977, certain was around that time for Miss Marvel. And I was discussing their Doctor Strange for some weird reason, instead of talking about Miss Marvel, this woman, this warrior. In many ways, it would have been quite nice if they'd actually had the introduction by Jerry Conway, wouldn't it? I would have thought, but still, maybe it is, but it doesn't say. I assume this is Stanley. I'm just assuming that. However, there it is, this woman, this warrior. And it was a great story. Again, Jonah Jameson Pierce, he seems to turn up everywhere, doesn't he? There he is again. Now, Carol Danvers, of course, was a friend of Captain Marvel, early days. And now, of course, she is Miss Marvel. But she doesn't know she's Miss Marvel. In the early stories, there's a bit of a storyline where she keeps changing whatever, and she doesn't remember all the things that happened before. She just collapses, got problems, and of course, she needs to go to a doctor, etc. This is a weird one. Probably the weirdest story, other than maybe the feminism one that's a bit later. This is Hela, the touch of a goddess. And the story is fine. Absolutely nothing wrong. Really good story. The icy touch of death. No cover again. I don't know why covers were not included in this. Just seems odd. They've always just got, quite often you get these books and they have to cover. But here they just went for the stories, which was a pity. But still, of course, Thor is going to die. But of course, Odin doesn't want that to happen. And all that stuff. But Hela follows Thor and she's going to use her icy touch of death. Personally, I think they should have gone with Sif. I don't know why they just didn't go with Sif, the character. Would have been a more obvious choice, personally, than her. It's like lots of other characters. I was thinking a few, like Scarlet Witch, just seems to be an obvious one that they could have chosen. Marvel Girl. Why wasn't Marvel Girl in this as well? Just odd. Of course, you got Loki, of course, doing his usual things to cause problems. And there you got, obviously, there, Hela. She's chasing after Thor, but of course, it's not Thor. He disappears. You think her powers, she would have worked that out. But still, I guess Odin has got some secret ways of doing things. And now she claims her prize. And so to die. This is the weird thing about this. It's 2 stories. Why? Why did they? That's why I think it would have been better if they'd just gone with Sif instead of having, obviously, 2 stories here or another character, Scarlet Witch. They could include someone else, couldn't they? But on to the next story. I'm going to show that. Here it is. Hellcat. No, the cat. Bill. Hellcat was something else. That was later. That was a bit later. That's Patsy Walker. They could have included her, but of course, she's not a superhero at that point. But you got the cat. That's, what's her name? Greer, wasn't it? She become Tigra or Tigra. Not certain how you say that. But beware the claws of the cat. Of course, he's got Wally Wood, Marie Severin. Brilliant. I love this artwork. Got all the 4 issues of this. Just great stories. They're always favourites of mine, the cat. And this one, Stan Lee and Linda Fitt and Mary Severin, Wally Wood. Absolute classic. Really great little story. And you got there, she obviously battles away. And as soon as you see it, you can always tell Wally Wood's artwork there. Really brilliant. And of course, battling away against an evil scientist. And an evil scientist that unfortunately has this character that runs towards, yes, go on, quickly run towards, flips him over, straight into the machine. That doesn't help this evil genius's plans. And of course, by that point, he has a few problems. On to Ant-Man and the Wasp. When I first looked at this, I thought, versus the Wasp. The way they do it, all in red, just seems odd, doesn't it? Just makes you think, Ant versus the Wasp. Another really good story. Don't know if they ever did that story. Maybe they did, I don't know. But this is the first appearance where obviously Janet Van Damme comes. Yeah, different character. She needs to have some powers. She learns quickly and she also gets some wings in the process. Straight away, she's off on her first mission. There she goes in there, obviously, the scientist, obviously there. Old Hank, he's working away there. And what happens? Uses catapult there. A gun to blast himself. Quite often, catapult, he says there. Okay, I suppose it is a catapult, isn't it? However, there's one thing that always slightly bugged me with this. Why didn't he just add wings to his outfit? Would have been, like he did, I suppose, Yellow Jacket. Just would have been obvious, wouldn't it? You think he's added wings to the Wasp, but he could have had that. They could have gone on mission like Hawk Girl, Hawkman, those sort of things. But no, he ends up having to wander around the city sort of thing. Yet she can fly. Doesn't seem making sense. But still, she gets zapped and gets various things. tiny pinprick there. How long does it take? Just this long, etc., etc. The specialised cells are now in place. And there she has it. Maybe there is an explanation why he can't get them, but still. And then off they go in a mission straight away. It's very useful. In superhero things, it quite often happens, like Bucky Barnes and things. Captain America within 5 seconds. This guy's off doing missions. Most people probably would have to do a little bit of training, but still. Fury in a Future World. This is a weird one. Savage Tales issue 1. The Femizons. I thought it was okay. Pretty decent artwork. I love the black and white mags anyway. I mean, this one's Savage Tales issue 1. Of course, rare collector's item now. But really good little story. And one, unfortunately, that they never continued. Or they might have continued properly somewhere. Maybe they continued it. But I've never seen the follow-on story. I think Thunderer might have been connected with, maybe. I don't know. Might be completely wrong on that. However, this one, Shanna the She-Devil, of course, she was involved with Kazar, Daredevil, probably a few other people as well. But there she is, Shanna the She-Devil. Now, I don't know if this is issue 1, because, of course, they don't include any information like that. Maybe they include it in the introduction. But they don't include the actual covers, which would have been good, because I think this one was a Stranko cover, which would have been great. Love a good Stranko cover. Now, that would be another one they'd been doing covers of Stranko, covers of Gil Kane. Those ones would be brilliant. But these stories, I really liked it. I love a good old Jungle Tale story. She turned up quite a few times in various things, black and white and all those sort of ones. And there she obviously battling it. Oh, got a bit of problem there. See there? Sadistic killer, she says there at that point. And then on to the final story, the Black Widow. Now, they got obviously there, the Black Widow. However, in this, she's got her old costume. So there she is. Obviously, she's noticed this. Obviously, she is with Hawkeye. That was the early stories with obviously Iron Man as well. You can see there, obviously, early on. But she changes her costume. And the reason being, she sees Spidey. She thinks, oh, you know what? I can be the new sort of Spidey. But, of course, as usual, as with Medusa story, they have to have, of course, battle. But it's done because of by an accident. She basically bumps into him. She goes out there and off balance, a female, one that I've never saw before. I'm called the Black Widow. I think maybe you should gen up on all the Black Widow. Oh, you used to be with the Avengers, but not in that get-up. Anyway, why did you attack me? And let's have a quick battle and have a quick fight for a bit. You always have to have that, don't you? Every superhero first meeting has to have that. Unfortunately, when it's like the Hulk, if you meet the Hulk for the first time, that's a bit of problematic, isn't it? But there he is. And she, of course, not convinced. I wanted to learn what I could do, etc., from you. Of course, Spidey is a bit obviously on the weaker side that day. He's been taken by what's the name anyway. He's been by surprise. But of course, Spidey wins out. It's his comic book. That's it. That is it. We got here. And of course, what did she turned up at Amazing Adventures? That was the late after that. And you got here How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way. That was John Buscema. And that was great. Little lovely book. Also the calendars. Love those ones. Those calendars, of course, as recently as a calendar book that came out from Abrams. That was superb. And you got here Superheroes Cookbook, Fun Book. I think the Fun Book was out. But Strength and Fitness, and there's another fun book here. This one, I don't know about. Some of these I never actually saw. I don't know, they certainly weren't regularly in my sort of local bookshops. Of course, you got the Origins of Marvel's, obviously the Son of Origins, and also Bring On the Bad Guys. Well, that's weird. They've got a different, maybe that's the slipcase cover. That's a slightly different slipcase cover there. But here's the books themselves. They were great. Love those. And that is that. I think that's it. Now, there are a few other books that came out. There's a whole series of them. There was Doctor Strange one. There was a Hulk one, I believe. There was, of course, the Battles one. So they're really worth picking up. And you should be able to find copies. Some are more expensive than others. But you hopefully can find these at comic marts, various bookshops, some certain comic shops, and probably second-hand shops. Often they turn up. Or, of course, on eBay, Amazon, etc. Well, I hope you liked the video. Please subscribe to the channel, always adding new videos about all kinds of Marvel Comics, DC Comics, and many, many others as well. A like or dislike, always appreciated. And also, please, some comments. Like I say, are you getting the book? Have you had the book? You're not really interested in the book at all. It's perfectly reasonable, of course. I think it's great. Totally recommended book. Bye.